Today, I want to talk about Oxford grad school applications. How do you apply to Oxford for a graduate study course? So, the first thing is to find out what course you want to study. And you should ideally begin your application process early so that it gives you ample time to go through everything that is involved in an Oxford application. The first thing is to identify which course you would be studying. And this is easily done by exploring the web. The Oxford University website is quite detailed in these terms, and you only have to look for graduate courses to identify which course you might pick. The one thing I love about the Oxford website is the extensive detail that they provide you on the web. So, all you have to do is search for graduate courses at Oxford, and then you see a whole list of courses offered there. Whether you want to do a part time course or a full time course, what courses are offered, and what is the duration of those courses. If you want to go for an MSc or if you want to go for a taught course, a research course, or a mixed course, or a PhD, it is all there. You only have to adjust the parameters and search accordingly. But if you're confused about the course codes and the course name, now there are certain things that you can find with multiple names. For example, if I give an example from biology, so there are many fields that you might not find by that course search. Just go down the drop down list. There's an entire list of all the courses offered. You can search from there and gain an idea about what you would be interested in. Go explore the course study pages. Every department has an extensive list of courses and descriptions of what they offer. So just go into individual department or courses and see what they have to offer and whether that aligns with you. For example, I know a lot of people say that Oxford doesn't have a degree in microbiology. Well, that doesn't matter. There are a lot of microbiologists in Oxford. They might just be operating under different course names or different departments. It could be a degree in pathology, it could be a degree in virology, it could be a degree in biochemistry, but you could still be working with something related to microbiology. You just have to be a bit more creative with your search and just find out what interests you. Do not stick to one particular name and think you're not finding it there. Sometimes things are presented under different domains, different names, and for graduate studies, they are much diversified. So, all you need to do is explore the course list. Once you have explored the courses and seen which ones you would like to apply to, you can definitely apply for more than one. You can apply for up to three courses or three different labs within one application. So just identify which course or courses you might want to apply to. Once you have decided that, then go to those course pages and see the requirements. Every department has slightly different requirements. They might have a different deadline, a different timeline for when they interview students. It is all generally similar for the entire university. The timeline is similar, but the time duration for your application to be processed and you getting an interview can be different depending on your department. One thing that you need to keep in mind is that if you want internal funding from Oxford, and again for Oxford funding, you have an entire page of funding, A to Z scholarship lists on the Oxford University website. You only have to search to go through it and you will easily find it. What you can do for funding is to make sure that you apply by the January deadline. That is the only deadline that you need to keep in mind if you want funding, because all the other admission rounds throughout the years do not offer Oxford fundings. So if you want Oxford fundings, if you want to be considered for them, then you need to apply by the January deadline. Apart from the courses and the deadlines, you might find some fundings that would be applicable to you. For many of these fundings, you do not have to separately apply. You just need to go to the interview stage, and from there, the university will let you know whether you are selected for any of the scholarships. But for certain scholarships, you do, of course, have to apply. But then again, this is something you will find out when you go through the search and find out what you want to apply for. It is entirely up to you. Once you have done all this, certain departments also ask you to list supervisors with whom you will be working if you are going for a research degree. Now, it is not strictly necessary, but it is advisable that if you are going for a research degree, at least talk to a supervisor first and find out if they are happy to take you in their lab and then list that in your application. So once you have talked to a supervisor and they say they would support your application, just list their name and the type of project you would be doing in their lab in your application. Apart from this, if you are not from an English speaking country, you also need to take an English language test and present that score. Now, The English language test scores, if you haven't already achieved them, can be sent in later. I would suggest that get it done. I mean, there's no need to wait. If you are going to apply for graduate studies in a foreign country, first get the English language test sorted. It is ideal to have your application completed in all aspects. Do not leave anything for later. And on that note, one important thing is references. For most of the Oxford applications, you do need three references. So you need to tell people who will be writing references for you beforehand, before you start your application process. And just make sure that they supply the recommendation letters or the reference letters in time. Because if any one of the reference letter or recommendation letter is delayed or submitted after the deadline, then chances are you will not be considered for admission. And even if you are considered for admission through some miracle or through some seats being available, you will not be considered for funding. So make sure you do not ruin your chances of gaining admission or funding by being late on one aspect. Make sure each and every aspect of your application is completed. Even though you yourself cannot upload the reference letter or recommendation letters, your referees should be reminded that they should submit in time. Do not ruin your application by just not reminding people what they should be doing to help you out. Be polite, ask nicely, but make sure you do ask them to submit in time. Once you have submitted your application, what next? Well, once your application is submitted, the next thing is to wait. Within a few weeks, ideally within 2 to 3 weeks, and sometimes a month, you will get notified whether you have been selected for an interview or not. If you have not been selected for an interview, well, sorry, but that's the end of your application. If you have, congratulations, and then you need to prepare for your interview. You will be given about 10 to 15 days of notice before your interview in an ideal situation, and you will prepare then. So then you go through the interview process. I have already discussed what they ask you or what they seek in interview processes, which you can see in the other videos. But after the interview, they rank your scores and see if you're eligible for scholarships. So the interviews are done by individual departments, but for scholarship eligibility, your application is then processed by the graduate study committee, and they sort of align applications from all the applicants through all the departments and then see which scholarship you might be eligible for. Now, there's no guarantee that you will get a scholarship if you pass the interview, but if you are among the high scoring students, the ratio is low for certain departments, and also depending on which country you're coming from. Although every country does get considered, there are a lot of scholarships which only consider your academic profile and not your country, but like there are different criteria for everything. So if you're among the top rank applicants among all the applications received by the department, then you will be considered for a scholarship, and your chances of getting a scholarship is high. If you do get a scholarship, they will send you an email, a contract which you would have to sign and then agree to the terms and conditions of the university. If you're successful through the interview process and get an admission, you will get an offer letter from the university as well as an Oxford college, because Oxford has a collegiate system. So if you are selected, you will get an offer from not only the wider university but also a college. So for college selection, you have the option to select the college by yourself when you are applying. There's an option for selecting a college. There are 38 colleges and halls in Oxford, and you can select whichever one you like. Again, each of them have their own website, and you can see which college you want to pick. I study at Wolfson College. I picked the college because it is a graduate only college. I didn't want to be in a very large college where there are undergrads, grads, and everything. I therefore selected Wolfson, which is a graduate college, and it is slightly further away from the city center because Oxford has a lot of tourists around the year. I didn't want to be in one of the central colleges where there are a lot of tourists roaming around all day. I like quiet and peace, so I chose a college which is slightly away from the city center. It's not very far, it's still just a 15-minute walk, but it's much quieter here. So that is why I chose Wolfson. You can go through every college website and see what you want. Also, some colleges do offer their own scholarships. So if you want to be eligible for one of those, maybe you would select those colleges. And if you want to understand about colleges, maybe I will talk about that later. So all in all, this is the graduate school application process. It's not rocket science. It's simple and easy, and the Oxford University website makes it extremely simple for you. If you just take the trouble to look at the website, it's just all there, and it is fairly straightforward. I hope you found this useful, And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already done so. I will see you in the next video.